What's up, guys? It's Techno Viking 23 coming to you today with a quick weapon review for Destiny. Now, today we're going to be talking about this monster that I'm holding in my hand right now, and this is the Dragon's Breath exotic rocket launcher. Now, a few reasons wanted to do this. One, it's one of the exotics I have actually maxed out all the way, and two, because Xur is selling it this week, so I kind of wanted to do this as a little bit of a guide for whether or not you guys should purchase this rocket launcher. That seems to be a question a lot of people are asking anytime Xur has weapons in his inventory. And we're going to talk about, what I think about this weapon. So let me go in here. We'll give you a little bit of a look at it. I'm using this on my Warlock right now, paired up with my Sunsinger. And this is Dragon's Breath. You can see it requires level 20, 331 attack. It is a solar damage rocket launcher, just like Yallarhorn, the other exotic solar rocket launcher. And it says burn the world, burn it all. And you see rate of fire is kind of slow. Blast radius is high, velocity is decent, stability is decent, and the reload speed is okay. Now the magazine has, you see a 2 there. It can actually hold 3 shells with one of the perks it has, and rounds from this weapon will leave a solar flare upon detonation. Now, I'm going to show you what that looks like. In my Xur video the other night, we took a look at this without any of the perks on it. But I can just show you here real quick. You can get a look at Dragon's Breath there. It kind of has like an old World War II like fighter plane bomber type paint scheme to it. It looks very cool, I think personally. You have the solar damage. It comes with smart drift control for high stability, which you take a little bit of a hit in blast radius and velocity. Stability to me is fairly useless on rockets because most of the time you're going to be recentering, releveling your aim point before you shoot another round. You have linear compensator, more predictable recoil, and slight boost of velocity and blast radius, more recoil, which again, not really a big deal. And then confined launch, which again, you take a hit in blast radius and velocity. So I tend to stick with linear compensator. Now your next perk is tripod. This gives you 3 shells in the tube, so you can hold 3. And when you get this maxed out, you can hold 3 shells in the tube, and you can carry 6 overall so you have 6 rockets. I believe with the Armentarium that goes up to 7 if you're using this on a Titan. Get your upgrade damage. You have quick draw, which not really a great perk for a rocket launcher. Javelin, which increases your warhead velocity, and then you have heavy payload if you want to max out your damage blast radius. Now I usually go with Javelin because if not, this rocket, you can see how it cuts off a little bit. This rocket launcher fires pretty slow without Javelin. And then you have Pyromancer. Rounds fired from this weapon leave a solar flare upon detonation. This basically works just like the Warlock's solar grenade, and what happens is when the rocket explodes, it leaves a little fireball in its wake, kind of like the solar grenade, and that will tick for about 196 damage per tick on a level 30 enemy. It depends on where you use that. You can use that in control and PvP to lock down a flag area if there's a bunch of people camping on it. PvE, it's useful mainly. The only place I've really found it incredibly useful is for strike bosses, like big ones like Valis, sometimes Sepsis Prime. If you can get them to kind of stand still for a little bit, you can launch 3 or 4 rockets at them. Secrion and the Nexus, and it'll do a little bit of burning damage over time. It's not that great, but that's about the only real good use I've found for this in PvE. Then the rest of this is just your upgrade damage path here. So let's take a little bit of a look at this weapon. I'm going to just blow through a couple rounds of thralls here real quick, and then when I get to the last wave or two, I'm going to dump some rockets on these guys, and we'll show you how this works. And I'm actually using the Eidolon Ally here. This is kind of an interesting way. I'm kind of having some fun with this weapon. It's not really a great weapon. You get this from the Husk of the Pit, but it's kind of an interesting auto rifle. But let's go ahead and bust out Dragon's Breath. We'll let these guys come down the stairs. And we missed most of them there, but you see there it does a little like a solar flare when you kill them. So see there, damage anywhere between 3,000 and 4,500 really. That's not great on a rocket launcher, especially when you talk about like Yallarhorn. You can get about 7,000 damage sometimes. You see there, one shot didn't even take out a major, and he just walked right out of the solar flare. Which that is really the biggest issue with this weapon in general, is the solar flare is just not that useful. Here's a look at the scope. Very clean scope, very easy to aim. There's no technology here at all. This is just kind of old school, like I said. And you can fire this relatively quickly. Reload speed's not too bad, and you can see how long those solar flares last there. Just that'll give you a little bit of damage over time. But very aesthetically cool looking weapon, I think. And that's one of the things they did do with Dark Below with the exotics is they really did a lot of neat looking exotics. They have like this older like World War II almost vibe to them. An older kind of an antique type look. You've got Dragon's Breath, No Land Beyond, and then even the Fourth Horseman, which was the shotgun that PlayStation 4 got. Then you've also got the Necrochasm. Those were the exotics for the Dark Below. Now, unfortunately, most of them are underwhelming, just like Dragon's Breath. And that's the one thing I would say about this rocket launcher. Is it looks cool. It's got some, seemingly cool perks with Pyromancer, but overall, it's just not that good. And you saw there that Major, when I shot him with the rocket, he just ran right out of the fireball, so it didn't even really do any damage. And that's one of the main problems this weapon has when you're trying to use it in PvE, is that the enemies, for the most part, in terms of their AI, they are going to flee more often than not. So when you throw a grenade, unless you hit it right in the middle of a pack of them, it's not going to do a whole lot of damage. And that's why I said this is really just useful for doing those strike bosses, like the bigger strike bosses who are kind of slow and lumber about a little bit. If you want to use this, like Valis Tarak or the Nexus, you can unload like 5 or 6 rockets and just trap them inside of this burning, pyre for a little bit, but it doesn't really do that much damage, so it's not that great. And the only time I really use this is when I'm screwing around on my Warlock and I'm using Radiance, and I'll throw out a bunch of solar grenades on my Super and then shoot off a couple rockets and just, have everything set on fire. So it can be fun to use, but in terms of being a good rocket launcher, it's really not, especially when you consider it's going to be taking up your exotic slot, which is going to prevent you from using other weapons like, Invective or Suros Regime or Red Death, or there's much better exotics you can be using to take up your exotic slot. And then when you compare this to Truth and Yallarhorn, which are the two other exotic rocket launchers, there's really no comparison there, because number one, this doesn't have tracking, it doesn't have cluster bombs, it doesn't have Wolfpack rounds, it really lacks any kind of backup or really good perk that makes it worth using. Pyromancer was a cool idea, but it's just so easy for enemies to avoid, and this is utterly useless in PvP, as far as I've seen. I'm not even going to do any PvP footage with this, because this is just not even worth trying to use it. But like I said, the only time you might find this useful is in a control match. You can fire it on a flag, and that'll keep some people from capping the flag, or for zone control, but the grenades don't really last that long, and just overall, this weapon is not worth taking up an exotic slot for. So should you buy this weapon from Xur this week? I would say no. I would pass on it. 17 strange coins is quite a lot of coins to spend for a weapon you're just, quite frankly, not going to get a lot of use out of. If you're a collector, and then I understand a lot of people collect all these weapons. I actually got this from, I believe, the first chest when on the Crota raid. The first chest used to drop exotics, and then they patched that and moved it to the Death Singer, but that's where I got this from. So I've had it a lot. This weapon, see, if you really want to get this, just play the raid. This seems to drop a lot. The drop rate on Dragon's Breath, No Land Beyond, the Fourth Horseman, all the Dark Below exotics seem to have a very highly increased drop rate versus the other exotics in the game when you're playing Crota's End and Vault of Glass and other areas that you can get this from. You can also get this from the Nightfall Strike. You can get this in the Vanguard Rock playlist, and you can also get this from a legendary heavy engram at the Cryptarch if you get really super lucky. But overall, I don't think it's worth spending 17 strange coins on. You're just not going to get a whole lot of use out of it. There are better options, like I said. Even if you want to use a legendary rocket launcher, Radagast Fury is very good if you get some good perk rolls on it from the Iron Banner, and you can also re-roll it till you get what you want on there. I actually use this on my Titan. I have a Void Radagast Fury with tracking, that I call my poor man's truth, because that's pretty much how it works. And there's also several good legendary rocket launchers you can pick up from the Vanguard. You've got the one-way ticket, which has cluster bombs from the vendor version. You've also got the Valedictorian from the Crucible. There's a lot of different rocket launchers you can get. There's even a couple rare rocket launchers you'll get from Vanguard rock drops, like the Good Doctor. I think there's the Big Rig XLR or XXL. I can't remember how it's fully said there, but yeah, just overall, Dragon's Breath is very underwhelming for an exotic. It's probably one of the worst exotics that's in the game, besides No Land Beyond and some of the other ones that came out with the Dark Below. So overall verdict on this, guys, if only pick this up really if you're looking to collect some exotics, or like I said, it can be fun to screw around with. But overall, if you're a more casual player who doesn't have a lot of strange coins and a lot of time to get strange coins, save your coins. Don't waste them on this rocket launcher. It's looks cool, but it does not. The performance does not equal the looks of the weapon, unfortunately. So, anyways, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this little quick look at Dragon's Breath, and that I've hope maybe helped make you make a decision on whether or not you want to purchase it. But that's pretty much it for this week, or for this little quick weapon review here. Anyways, guys, leave me a comment below if you have Dragon's Breath, if you like to use it, what you like about it, what you don't like about it, and let me know if you plan on picking this up from Reserve this week. Anyways, guys, it's been Techno Viking 23, signing off now. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you again next time.